Hello, everyone. The clip you're about to hear is from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes, and like all of those episodes, it may contain spoilers, so consider yourself warned. If you like what you hear, head over to patreon.com/horrorqueers to listen to tons of bonus content. And now, without further ado, here's your exclusive Patreon clip.
Okay, so let me throw in a wrinkle here then. If you found a USB drive of not a random stranger's porn, but of someone you knew, would you watch it?
Now, see, you and I have had this conversation before. I'm not super interested in seeing people I know well naked.
Well,
I don't necessarily want to, like, I'm not going to pretend that I probably wouldn't take a quick look, but I'm probably not going to whip it out and jack it.
Fair. Not exactly the angle I was going for. So, but you are correct in everything you just said about me. No, but it's more so because, again, to me, you find a flash drive of someone's self-made porn.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have consent. Like, they're not giving you consent to watch that.
Oh, yeah, no. It's definitely an infringement. And I think one of the film is filled with twists, right? Like, it really likes to pull the rug out from under the audience. And I love the moment where Janelle, who is played by Hannah Rose May, she has covertly been filming her roommate, Mackenzie Vega's Lexi, fucking her boyfriend, Jeremy, who is played by Andrew Matthew Welch. And I mean, I don't love it because it's non-consensual, but she's been filming her roommate and her boyfriend fucking, and then she's masturbating to it later. And I was like, oh, Janelle, you dirty girl.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Yeah, so there are a lot of moral gray areas, or just outright, like, bad morals going on in this movie with our protagonists even. And the film sometimes feels like it wants to have these discussions, but then also doesn't. So that's kind of where this, I mean, again, I'm going to keep saying exploitation because, we're exploiting all of these things in a movie called Exploited, but not doing much more with them, which could be a problem if that's what you are wanting from this type of movie. But because we are dealing with something that is, I think, for the most part, trying to be camp, it doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, if nothing else, this movie feels like it wants to entertain you. It wants to be twisty and turny. It wants to make you a little bit horny, and it's not afraid to go to places that are a little bit taboo. It's almost interested in saying, hey, have you thought about this? This is an issue, but then it sort of leaves the heavy lifting to the audience. If you want to engage in this conversation, you can, which I think is also one of the reasons why it ends up faltering a bit when we introduce darker, much more sensitive material like sexual assault and blackmail and that kind of stuff. Like, it's fun in the first 2/3 because it's a little tongue-in-cheek, whereas in the back half you're kind of like, oh, okay, now you're trying to be serious and it's not really fun anymore, but you're still trying to keep that twisty-turny vibe.
Well, and that's the thing, because I mean, the movie, let's move into the sexual assault, because you and I have had discussions before too about how especially with something that is kind of leaning into like black comedy a bit, the introduction of sexual assault is for some people, sometimes you, sometimes not, a step too far, where it's like, you can't make that funny. Why is this in this movie? I kind of got that feeling, and I wasn't offended by this rape scene. If anything, I actually, God, again, I hate to say appreciate, but that we have a male-on-male rape scene in a movie, which I think I can count the number of times I've seen that on both of my hands, maybe even just one.
Yeah, I mean, refreshing is not the right word, but it's appreciated because we know for sure that this does happen, and particularly within the queer community, right? Like, let's not pretend that just because men sleep together doesn't mean that they don't also take advantage of each other. So I felt the same way you did the first time around, especially, where I was like, oh, this is unexpected. This is darker than I maybe wanted the film to be. But also, when was the last time I saw a male sexual assault treated mostly openly, right? Like, and Jeremy, the character who is raped by his roommate, is really fucked up as a result of this. Like, we're not sugarcoating that, oh, he's just fine. Like, oh, now he realizes that he's gay. It's like, no, he is deeply disturbed as a result.
Correct. And the reason I say that I'm glad that this is here, that in just in the broad sense of I'm glad a movie is featuring a male-on-male rape scene, is because I think that there is a stigma around male sexual assault where it's frequently either laughed off or brushed off or joked about. And so even going back into like, why I am still okay seeing gay bashing scenes in films, because again, I think sometimes people it is treated as a joke, and I like seeing it treated in a realistic way that is upsetting. And this sexual assault scene in this movie is very upsetting, and I think putting it in films period helps to kind of reduce that stigma and show the seriousness of the situation. And you could argue this movie is not particularly good at that, but just the fact that it's included here, I appreciate.
Atlas Avenue, a long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kennett Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.
Hello, I'm Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.